Kendra Washington was 19 years old when she first met Isaiah Montgomery, and she was absolutely convinced he was going to hell. It was sophomore year at Northwestern University. History 201. Religion and Western Civilization. Kendra had signed up because she needed the credit and figured it would be easy. She'd grown up in New Hope Baptist Church, where her father was the pastor. She knew her Bible forward, backward, and sideways. She walked into class 15 minutes late on the first day. Her alarm hadn't gone off. "Sorry, so sorry," she whispered to Professor Hayes, scanning the room for an empty seat. There was only one. Next to a guy who was currently in the middle of what appeared to be a passionate debate with the professor. "But that's exactly my point," the guy was saying, gesturing with his hands. "Religion has been used as a tool of oppression for centuries. The Crusades, the Inquisition, colonization, slavery. How can we study it as some kind of moral framework when it's caused so much suffering?" Kendra slid into the seat next to him, trying to be quiet. Professor Hayes smiled calmly. "We're studying it as a historical and cultural framework, not necessarily a moral one. Whether you believe in God or not, you can't deny religion's profound impact on civilization." "Oh, I'm not denying the impact," the guy said, leaning back in his chair with a confident smirk. "I'm questioning whether that impact has been positive." Kendra looked at him for the first time. Really looked at him. He was gorgeous. Tall. She could tell even sitting down. Deep brown skin. Strong jawline. Intelligent dark eyes that sparkled with challenge. He wore a simple black t-shirt, and when he gestured, she caught sight of a tattoo on his forearm. Some kind of geometric pattern. Her mother's voice immediately echoed in her head. "Tattoos are a desecration of the temple God gave you, baby. Anyone who marks their body like that has no respect for the Lord." Kendra mentally filed him under "not my type" and tried to focus on the professor. "What's your name, young man?" Professor Hayes asked. "Isaiah Montgomery, sir." Kendra choked on her coffee. Isaiah turned to look at her, one eyebrow raised. "You okay over there?" "Sorry," Kendra said, wiping her mouth with a napkin. Your name is Isaiah and you don't believe in God? That's like someone named Christian being an atheist, or someone named Angel being a serial killer." The class laughed. Isaiah's smirk widened into a full grin. "My parents had a sense of humor," he said, his voice warm and amused. "Or maybe they were being prophetic. Isaiah means salvation of the Lord, right? Maybe I'm meant to save people from religion." More laughter from the class. Kendra felt her face heat up. "That's not funny," she said. "I think it's hilarious," Isaiah countered. "What's your name?" "Kendra." "Well, Kendra, since you find my name so entertaining, maybe you'd like to defend the professor's position? Give us the religious perspective?" Kendra straightened her shoulders. She'd been debating theology since she was 12 years old in her father's study. This tattooed atheist didn't intimidate her. "Fine. Religion isn't just about belief in God. It's about community, moral structure, purpose, and hope. Yes, it's been misused, by humans, not by God. But you can't ignore the hospitals built by churches, the civil rights movement led by pastors, the countless people who found strength and comfort in faith during impossible times. You can criticize the institution all you want, but you can't deny that faith has literally saved lives." Isaiah's eyes lit up. Not with anger. With interest. Like she'd just said something fascinating. "Okay, that's fair. But hope based on something that can't be proven is just wishful thinking. Can we table this discussion for after class?" Professor Hayes interrupted. Though he was smiling. "I'd like to actually get through the syllabus today, but I'm loving the energy. This is exactly the kind of critical thinking I want to see." After class, Isaiah caught up with Kendra in the hallway. "Hey, that was fun," he said. Kendra stopped and looked at him like he'd grown a second head. "You think arguing about the existence of God is fun? What is wrong with you?" "Nothing's wrong with me. I just like a good debate, especially with someone who can actually keep up." He held out his hand. "Truce?" Kendra looked at his hand, then at the tattoo on his forearm, then at his face, which, annoyingly, was even more handsome up close. "You have a tattoo," she said instead of shaking his hand. Isaiah looked down at his arm like he'd forgotten it was there. "Yeah, got it last year. It's a geometric representation of the golden ratio, math and art combined. Why?" "Nothing," Kendra said quickly. It's nothing. She shook his hand quickly and dropped it like it burned. Truce. But I'm going to prove you wrong about God by the end of this semester. Isaiah laughed, a real laugh that made his whole face light up. And I'm going to introduce you to logic and reason. May the best worldview win. Against all odds, and all of Kendra's initial judgments, she and Isaiah became friends. Study partners at first. They'd meet at the library to argue about the reading assignments. Isaiah would challenge every religious text. Kendra would defend faith with the passion of someone who'd grown up surrounded by it. You're exhausting, Isaiah said one night in October, closing his textbook with a thud. Do you ever just accept that you might be wrong? Do you? Kendra shot back. Touché. They grinned at each other across the library table. It was during one of these late-night study sessions that Kendra learned Isaiah wasn't just a computer science major with a philosophy minor. He was brilliant, like scholarship-level brilliant. He was building some kind of software in his spare time, something about data encryption that went completely over Kendra's head. So you're basically a genius, Kendra said, watching him code like it was a second language. I'm good with patterns, Isaiah said with a shrug. Computers make sense. They do what you tell them to do. People are messier. That's what makes people interesting. That's what makes people exhausting, Isaiah countered. But he was smiling. By November, they'd become actual friends, not just study partners, friends who grabbed coffee between classes, who texted each other memes at 2 a.m., who had inside jokes that made them laugh so hard they got shushed in the library. Kendra's roommate Shayla noticed. Girl, that fine man with the tattoo is into you, Shayla said one evening, watching Isaiah walk Kendra back to their dorm. Isaiah? No, he's not. We're just friends. Mm-hmm. And I'm just Michelle Obama. He's an atheist, Shayla, with a tattoo. My parents would disown me. Your parents aren't dating him. You would be. I'm not dating him, Kendra insisted. Besides, he's not my type. What is your type? Someone who believes in God, someone who respects the church, someone who… Kendra trailed off. Someone boring, Shayla finished. Girl, when are you going to stop picking these clean-cut church boys who turn out to be trash? Kendra winced because Shayla had a point. There had been Marcus in freshman year, student government president, played piano at church, quoted scripture in his Instagram captions. Turned out he was sleeping with 3 different girls at the same time. Then there was David over the summer, youth pastor at her home church, always talked about God's plan for marriage. Turned out God's plan didn't include him being faithful to his girlfriend. Kendra had a type. Clean-cut, well-spoken, church-going, the kind of guys her parents approved of, and every single one had broken her heart. Isaiah's different, Kendra said quietly. Exactly, Shayla said. That's why you should give him a chance. We're just friends. But sometimes, late at night… Kendra wondered if that was really true. It was December, right before finals, when Kendra finally asked the question that had been bothering her. They were in Isaiah's dorm room. He had a single, thank God, because his coding setup took up half the space. Kendra was lying on his bed studying while Isaiah sat at his desk working on some project. Isaiah, why don't you date anyone? His fingers paused on the keyboard. What? You never date. Like ever. Girls hit on you all the time. Don't even try to deny it. I've seen it happen. That girl in our history class literally asked you out last week. But you always say no. Why? Isaiah turned in his chair to look at her. Why do you want to know? Because… Kendra hesitated. Shayla thinks you might be gay, and I told her you're not, but she said, how do I know if you never date anyone? And honestly, I don't have a good answer. Isaiah was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I'm not gay. Okay. I'm attracted to women, very attracted to women. Okay, Kendra said again, her face heating up for some reason. Isaiah ran a hand over his face. I'm waiting for the right person. That's really mature, Kendra said softly. Most guys our age just want to hook up. I'm not most guys. I've noticed. Their eyes met across the room. Something passed between them, something electric and terrifying and completely undefined. Isaiah broke eye contact first, turning back to his computer. You should get back to studying. Finals are in 3 days. Right, yeah, studying. But Kendra couldn't focus on her textbook anymore. She kept stealing glances at Isaiah, at the tattoo on his forearm, at the way his brow furrowed when he concentrated, at the way he'd unconsciously tap his foot when he was thinking. Stop it, she told herself. He's not your type. He's an atheist. With a tattoo, your parents would have a heart attack. But her heart wasn't listening to logic. By the time they were 27, Kendra and Isaiah's friendship had only grown stronger. Isaiah had graduated and started a successful freelance career as a software developer and consultant. He built custom security systems for major companies, worked from home, and made more money than most people twice his age. He'd bought a gorgeous 3-bedroom loft in River North. Exposed brick walls, floor-to-ceiling windows, a home office that looked like something from a tech magazine, and a guest room he kept just in case Kendra ever needed it. He'd also gotten more tattoos, a full sleeve on his left arm now, geometric patterns that somehow looked both mathematical and artistic. Kendra had watched it develop over the years, each new addition making her mother's voice in her head grow louder. That boy is marking himself up like a heathen. Stay away from him, baby. But Kendra never could stay away. Isaiah was her best friend, the person who knew her better than anyone. Kendra had graduated with honors and landed a job as a junior accountant. She still attended New Hope Baptist every Sunday when she visited her parents in Indiana. She still dated the right kind of men, and every single one still turned out to be wrong. There was Trevor, investment banker, drove a Mercedes, looked like he stepped out of a catalog. Turned out he was embezzling from his clients and got arrested. There was Leonard, assistant pastor at a megachurch, always posting inspirational quotes. Turned out he had a secret gambling addiction and owed money to some very scary people. Isaiah had been there for every heartbreak, every 3 a.m. phone call, every pint of ice cream and terrible rom-com marathon. Ken, I'm starting to see a pattern here, Isaiah said one Saturday afternoon. They were in his loft. He was cooking, jerk chicken, her favorite, while she sat at the kitchen island telling him about her latest disaster. What pattern? You pick guys based on what they look like on the surface. Clean cut, successful, says all the right things, but you never look deeper. That's not fair. It's completely fair, Isaiah said, pointing his spatula at her. You judge books by their covers, every single time. I do not. You literally told me freshman year that you thought I was going to hell because I had a tattoo and didn't believe in God. Kendra's face heated up. I was 19 and indoctrinated. I'm better now. Are you, though? Isaiah challenged. Because you're still picking the same type of guy, still ignoring red flags because they look good on paper. So what should I do? Date someone covered in tattoos who doesn't believe in God? The words hung in the air. Isaiah turned back to the stove. Maybe you should date someone who actually treats you well, regardless of what they look like. Kendra was quiet for a moment. Then she said softly, Why haven't you dated anyone seriously, Isaiah? You're 33, successful. You own this amazing place. She gestured at him vaguely. You could have anyone you want. It's complicated. Uncomplicate it. Isaiah was quiet for so long, Kendra thought he wouldn't answer. Then he said, Because the woman I've wanted for the past 14 years doesn't see me that way. She thinks I'm going to hell, remember? Kendra's heart stopped. Isaiah. His phone rang. He grabbed it quickly. I should take this work thing. He disappeared into his office, leaving Kendra alone in the kitchen with her thoughts spinning out of control. He can't mean me, she thought. Can he? He had to be talking about someone else. But before she could process it, her own phone rang. Her mother. Baby, I have wonderful news, her mother said. Pastor William's nephew just moved to Chicago. His name is Javon Pierce. He's looking for a church home. And I gave him your number. Such a nice young man. Kendra closed her eyes. Mama, he's going to call you this week. Be sweet to him, baby. He's exactly the kind of man you should be with. And because Kendra Washington was nothing if not obedient to her parents, when Javon Pierce called, she said yes to coffee. Javon Pierce was everything Kendra's parents wanted for her. Clean cut, well-spoken, raised in the church. He had a good job as a sales manager at a pharmaceutical company. He drove a sensible car. He talked about wanting a family someday. He was perfect on paper. I really like him, Kendra told Isaiah 3 months into dating Javon. They were at Isaiah's place. He was teaching her how to make his jerk chicken marinade. She'd been begging him for the recipe for years. That's great, Isaiah said, his voice carefully neutral. You don't sound like you think it's great. I haven't met him yet. Hard to have an opinion. You could meet him, Kendra said. I want my best friend to meet my boyfriend. Isaiah's jaw tightened. Sure, set it up. The dinner was a disaster. Javon showed up 30 minutes late. He spent the entire meal talking about himself. He made a comment about Isaiah's tattoos. Man, I could never do that to my body. Got to keep the temple clean, you know? That made Kendra cringe. And when Isaiah politely challenged one of Javon's opinions about politics, Javon got defensive and condescending. Look, man, I respect your opinion, but some of us actually work in the real world. Not everyone can sit at home on a computer all day. Isaiah's expression didn't change. You're right. Some of us have to actually know what we're talking about. The tension was thick enough to cut. After Javon left, Kendra stayed behind. So? She asked. What do you think? You really want to know? Yes. Isaiah looked at her for a long moment. I think he's exactly like every other guy you've dated. Good on the surface, wrong underneath. You don't even know him. I know enough, Isaiah said. Ken, he showed up late and didn't apologize. He talked over you 3 times. He was condescending to me because I work from home and have tattoos. And he didn't say thank you once for the dinner I cooked. He was nervous. He was showing you who he is, Isaiah said quietly. The question is whether you're going to see it. Why don't you like him? Kendra demanded. Is it because he's successful? Because he believes in God? What? I don't like him because he doesn't deserve you, Isaiah said, his voice rising. Because I've watched you give everything to men who give you nothing back, and I'm tired of watching you get hurt. Maybe I wouldn't get hurt if you'd just be happy for me. I can't be happy watching you make another mistake. Then maybe you shouldn't watch. Kendra grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Kendra, wait. I'll call you later, Isaiah. But she didn't call. Not for 2 weeks. When they finally talked again, they didn't mention Javon. They didn't mention the fight. They just went back to normal. But something had shifted. Some invisible line had been drawn. And when Javon proposed 6 months later, Kendra said yes. The wedding was small, intimate. Kendra's parents were thrilled. Javon's family flew in from Atlanta. Isaiah stood at the back of the ceremony, hands in the pockets of his perfectly tailored suit. He looked handsome, heartbroken, resigned. After the ceremony, he found Kendra in a quiet hallway. Congratulations, Mrs. Pierce, he said softly. Thank you, Kendra said. I'm glad you came. I'll always come when you need me, Isaiah said. Then he hesitated. Ken, I need to say something, and after today, I'll never say it again. Okay. I don't think Javon is the right man for you. I think you're making a mistake. And I think somewhere deep down, you know that. He took a breath. But you're my best friend, and I'm going to support you no matter what. Even when... He stopped himself. Especially when things get hard. My door is always open, always. Remember that. Isaiah. Be happy, Ken. That's all I've ever wanted for you. He kissed her forehead gently and walked away. Kendra stood in that hallway for a long time, wondering why she wanted to cry. The first year of marriage wasn't terrible. It just wasn't great. Javon worked long hours. Kendra got promoted to senior accountant. They bought a nice condo in Lincoln Park. They fell into a routine. But there were small things. Things Kendra told herself didn't matter. Like how Javon never asked about her day but expected her to listen to every detail of his. Or how he'd forget plans they'd made if something better came up with his friends. Or how he'd make little comments about her appearance. You wearing that? Don't you have something more flattering? Small cuts. Easy to ignore. Easy to excuse. Then came the issue that would change everything. After a year of marriage, Kendra still wasn't pregnant. Maybe we should both get checked out, Kendra suggested one night. Just to make sure everything's working properly. Javon's face hardened. I don't need to get checked out. But the doctor said it's important for both partners. Kendra, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm a man. My equipment works fine. This is a woman's issue. You need to figure out what's wrong with your body. The words stung. But Kendra went to the fertility clinic alone. They ran every test imaginable. Blood work, ultrasounds, hormone panels, genetic screening. Everything came back normal. You're perfectly healthy, Mrs. Pierce, Dr. Chen said with a warm smile. Your reproductive system is functioning exactly as it should. Sometimes conception just takes time. But I do strongly recommend having your husband tested as well. Male factor infertility is involved in about 40 to 50% of cases. Kendra nodded but didn't say what she was thinking. There's no way Javon will agree to that. She tried one more time. The doctor says we should both get tested. Are you calling me infertile? Javon's voice was sharp, dangerous. No, I'm just saying, you're saying I'm not man enough to get you pregnant. That's what you're saying. That's not. I don't want to hear it, Javon snapped. You're the problem, Kendra. Accept it and fix it. That night, Kendra called her parents for the first time about her marriage struggles. Mama, Javon's being really harsh about the baby thing. He won't even consider getting tested, and he keeps saying I'm defective. Baby, marriage is hard work, her mother interrupted. The Bible says wives should submit to their husbands. Are you being submissive? Are you praying? Maybe you need to fast. Ask God to bless your womb. But Mama, he's being cruel. Kendra Marie, you made vows before God. Her father's voice came on the line. Speakerphone. You don't just complain when things get difficult. You honor those vows. A good wife supports her husband through his frustrations. His frustrations? What about mine? Baby, a woman's highest calling is to be a wife and mother, her mother said gently. Maybe you're too focused on your career. Maybe that's why God hasn't blessed you yet. Have you thought about that? Kendra hung up feeling worse than before she called. She didn't call Isaiah. She was too ashamed, too embarrassed to admit he'd been right. 3 years into the marriage, everything got worse. Javon got promoted to regional director. His salary doubled overnight. They moved into a luxury condo downtown with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. Kendra was genuinely happy for him. She threw a celebration dinner, invited his coworkers and his family, spent hours cooking all his favorite dishes. But Javon barely acknowledged her that night. He was too busy networking, laughing loudly with his colleagues, especially one woman in particular. Her name was Raven Sinclair, 25 years old, strikingly beautiful with long dark hair, curves in all the right places, and designer everything. The kind of woman who knew exactly how powerful she was and wasn't afraid to use it. Your husband's quite impressive, Raven said to Kendra at some point during the dinner, her voice smooth as silk. A small smile playing on her lips. Kendra smiled politely. Thank you. He's worked really hard for this. Raven's eyes gleamed with something sharp. I'm sure he has. And trust me, he's going even higher. Men like Javon, they're built for greatness. They need partners who can keep up. There was a challenge in her tone, a subtle dig, but Kendra was too trusting to catch it. Well, I'm proud of him, Kendra said simply. Raven's smile widened. I'm sure you are. After that night, things shifted. Javon started working late, coming home at 2 a.m., sometimes not coming home at all. Where were you? Kendra would ask. Client dinner, important meeting. You wouldn't understand. It's high-level business. Kendra wanted to believe him, but something felt wrong. The final straw came on a cold November evening. She had clocked off early from work due to a migraine that just wouldn't let her focus. She planned to eat, bathe, and sleep. Instead, Kendra Washington stood frozen in the doorway of her own bedroom, staring at a scene that would replay in her nightmares for years to come. Her husband, in their bed, with another woman. But that wasn't even the worst part. The woman, young, beautiful, wearing Kendra's bathrobe, looked her dead in the eye and smiled, like she'd been waiting for this moment, like she'd won something. Oh, good, the woman said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. You're home early. We need to talk. Kendra couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The room started spinning. Javon climbed out of bed casually, not even bothering to look ashamed. He looked annoyed, like Kendra had interrupted something important. Kendra, he said, his voice cold as Chicago in January. I want a divorce. 3 sentences. That's all it took to destroy 6 years of marriage. I want a divorce. This marriage isn't working. You can't even do the one thing wives are supposed to do, give me a child. 6 years, Kendra. 6 years and your womb is still empty. The woman stood up, one hand on her flat stomach. I'm Raven, by the way. And just so you know, I'm pregnant. 3 months. Kendra's knees buckled. She grabbed the doorframe to keep from falling. Pregnant? Javon actually smiled. Yeah, see? You were the problem all along. I knew it. Kendra didn't remember leaving the condo. She didn't remember getting in her car. She didn't remember driving through Chicago's streets with tears pouring down her face so thick she could barely see the road. She just found herself pulling up to Isaiah's building. She sat in her car for 15 minutes, crying so hard she thought she might throw up. Her phone kept buzzing, Javon calling, texting. Don't be dramatic. We need to discuss the division of assets. You can stay in the condo until we figure out the details. This is for the best. You'll see that eventually. Each message was another knife in her heart. Finally, she got out of the car and took the elevator to Isaiah's floor. She stood outside his door, shaking, trying to pull herself together enough to knock. The door opened before she could. Isaiah stood there in sweatpants and a Northwestern t-shirt, his expression shifting from surprise to alarm the moment he saw her face. Ken? Jesus, what happened? She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Just a broken sob. Isaiah pulled her inside immediately and wrapped his arms around her. Kendra collapsed against his chest and broke completely. She cried so hard she couldn't breathe. Years of being told she wasn't enough. Years of being blamed for something that wasn't her fault. Years of choosing wrong. Years of ignoring the right choice standing in front of her. It all came pouring out. Isaiah held her through it all, one hand cradling the back of her head, the other wrapped protectively around her waist. He didn't ask questions, didn't demand explanations. He just held her while the world fell apart. They stood in his entryway for what felt like hours. When Kendra's sobs finally quieted to broken hiccups, Isaiah gently guided her to his couch and sat down with her, still holding her. Tell me what happened, he said softly. You were right, Kendra whispered. About everything. Javon, my pattern, all of it. You were right, and I was too stupid to see it. You're not stupid. He's been cheating on me. With a woman from his office. I came home and they were... She couldn't finish the sentence. He wants a divorce. She's pregnant, Isaiah. She's pregnant, and he said it proves I was the problem all along. Isaiah's whole body went rigid. When he spoke, his voice was deadly quiet. Where is he right now? Don't, Kendra said quickly, grabbing his arm. Please don't. It won't change anything. He doesn't get to do this to you. He already did, Kendra said, her voice breaking again. And you know what the worst part is? I called my parents first, before I came here. I called them crying, telling them what happened. What did they say? They asked if I'd been a good wife, if I'd been submissive enough, if maybe I'd driven him to this by focusing too much on my career. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. They told me to pray about it, to consider whether God was testing my commitment to my vows. Isaiah's arms tightened around her until she could barely breathe. Ken, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do, Kendra whispered. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to survive this. You're going to stay here, Isaiah said firmly, for as long as you need, and we're going to get through this together. Isaiah, I have 3 bedrooms, Ken. You can have any. I'll give you space, whatever you need, but I'm not letting you go back to that condo. And I'm definitely not letting you go back to Indiana where your parents will make you feel worse. Kendra pulled back to look at him. His face was so familiar. 14 years of knowing this man, of friendship, of laughter and debates and late-night conversations, of him being right there, always, even when she was too blind to see what that meant. Why are you so good to me? She asked. Isaiah's expression shifted. Something raw and vulnerable crossed his face. You really don't know? Know what? He reached up and gently wiped tears from her cheeks. Kendra, I've been in love with you since you were 19 years old. Since you walked into history class late and made me laugh by choking on your coffee. Since you challenged me about God and actually made me think. Since every debate, every study session, every single moment of the last 14 years. The world stopped again. But this time, it wasn't from pain. Kendra wasn't sure she heard right. What? I'm in love with you, Isaiah repeated quietly. I watched you date all those guys who didn't deserve you, and it killed me. I watched you marry Javon, and it destroyed me. And I never said anything because you deserve to make your own choices. But I can't watch you suffer anymore without telling you that you are loved, Ken. Deeply. Completely. The way you always should have been. Kendra stared at him. Her mind was reeling. Isaiah, you don't have to say anything, Isaiah said quickly. I'm not telling you this to pressure you or make things complicated. I just need you to know you're not unlovable. You're not defective. You're perfect. And Javon is a fool for not seeing that. I'm not perfect, Kendra whispered. I'm a mess. I pick the wrong men. I ignore red flags. I judge people by their covers while missing what's right in front of me. Then let me help you see clearly, Isaiah said. Let me remind you who you really are. Not what your parents want you to be, not what Javon made you feel like, but who you actually are. Kendra didn't know what to say. Her emotions were too tangled, too raw, too overwhelming. Can I just stay here tonight, without figuring everything else out? Of course, Isaiah said. Whatever you need. Kendra stayed in Isaiah's guest room that night. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Javon and Raven, heard his words. You were the problem all along. Around 3 a.m., there was a soft knock on her door. Ken, you awake? Yeah. Isaiah opened the door. He was holding 2 mugs. Made you chamomile tea with honey, your favorite. Kendra felt tears prick her eyes again. You remembered. I remember everything about you. Isaiah handed her a mug and sat on the edge of the bed. Can't sleep? Every time I close my eyes, I see them. Isaiah was quiet for a moment. Want to watch something? Terrible reality TV until we pass out? Despite everything, Kendra smiled. Yeah, that sounds perfect. They moved to the living room. Isaiah pulled up old episodes of a dating show they used to watch in college and make fun of. Oh my God, remember this guy? Isaiah said, pointing at the screen. Didn't he propose to 3 different women in one season? And they all said no, Kendra added. That was the best part. They watched until sunrise, laughing at the terrible decisions on screen, until Kendra finally fell asleep on Isaiah's couch. When she woke up, she was covered with a blanket and there was a note on the coffee table. Had to take a morning meeting. There's breakfast in the kitchen, made your favorite. Coffee's ready, take your time. You're safe here. Isaiah. Kendra walked to the kitchen and found pancakes, eggs, and fresh fruit. Her favorite coffee blend already brewed. She sat down and cried again. But this time, not from pain. From the overwhelming realization that someone had been taking care of her all along. She'd just been too blind to see it. Isaiah made it his mission to cheer Kendra up. On day 2, he surprised her with a trip to their favorite burger place from college. Therapeutic Grease, he called it. They sat in a booth and talked about everything except Javon. Remember when you tried to convince me that Jonah actually got swallowed by a whale? Isaiah said, grinning. It's in the Bible. It's metaphorical. You don't know that. They argued like they were 20 again. Like the world wasn't falling apart. Like everything was simple. On day 3, Isaiah taught her how to play the video game he was currently obsessed with. Kendra was terrible at it. How are you this bad? Isaiah laughed as her character died for the 5th time. You have a master's degree. In accounting, not video games. It's just pattern recognition? Then you do it. Kendra threw the controller at him, laughing despite herself. Isaiah caught it, grinning. There it is. That's the smile I've been waiting for. On day 4, they cooked together. Isaiah was teaching her his jerk chicken recipe, the one he'd been protecting for years. I'm trusting you with this recipe, Ken. Don't make me regret it. I'm honored, Kendra said solemnly. Then she accidentally added way too much Scotch bonnet pepper. Oh no, I ruined it. Isaiah tasted it and immediately started coughing. Oh my God, woman, were you trying to kill me? They ordered pizza instead and laughed until their sides hurt. On day 5, Isaiah brought home art supplies. What is this? Kendra asked, looking at the canvases and paints. Therapy, Isaiah said. We're going to paint our feelings. I can't paint. Neither can I. That's the point. They spent 3 hours making the ugliest paintings known to humanity. Kendra painted her emotions, angry reds and sad blues all mixed together. Isaiah painted what looked like a geometric disaster. What even is that? Kendra asked, laughing. It's abstract. You wouldn't understand. It looks like a toddler's art project. Your face looks like a toddler's art project. Kendra gasped in mock offense and flicked paint at him. Isaiah flicked paint back. Within minutes, they were in a full paint war, laughing and dodging and making an absolute mess of Isaiah's kitchen. When they finally stopped, both covered in paint, Kendra realized something. She'd laughed more in 5 days with Isaiah than she had in 6 years with Javon. On day 6, they were on Isaiah's balcony watching the sunset over Chicago. Isaiah had made dinner, successfully this time. They'd eaten on the balcony, talking about nothing and everything. Thank you, Kendra said suddenly. For what? For this week, for making me laugh again, for reminding me that life isn't just pain. She looked at him. For being exactly what I needed. Isaiah was quiet for a moment. I hate that you needed it. I hate that he hurt you. I hate that I let him, Kendra said. I hate that I ignored every red flag, every warning, even yours. You loved him, or you thought you did. I don't think I did, Kendra admitted. I think I loved the idea of him, the clean-cut, church-going man my parents approved of. I think I was more in love with making them happy than I ever was with actually being happy myself. Isaiah reached over and took her hand. What do you want, Ken? Not what your parents want. Not what the church expects. What do you want? Kendra looked at their joined hands. Isaiah's hands were strong, marked with tattoos that she used to judge. Warm. Safe. Right. I want to stop judging books by their covers, she said quietly. I want to stop picking men because they look good on paper. She looked up at him. I want to stop being blind to what's been right in front of me for 14 years. Isaiah's breath caught. Ken, I'm falling for you, Kendra whispered. Or maybe I've been falling for years and was too scared to admit it. Too worried about what my parents would think. Too stuck on what I thought I was supposed to want instead of what I actually want. What do you want? Isaiah asked, his voice rough with emotion. You, Kendra said simply. I want you. Isaiah cupped her face gently. I need you to be sure. Because once we cross this line, I can't go back to just being your friend. I'm sure, Kendra said. I've never been more sure of anything. Isaiah leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. When their lips finally met, it felt like coming home. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, then deeper. Years of longing pouring into that single moment. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Isaiah rested his forehead against hers. Are you absolutely sure about this? He asked. Because you're still technically married. You're hurting. I don't want you to do something you'll regret. The only thing I regret is not doing this sooner, Kendra said. She kissed him again, and this time Isaiah's resistance crumbled completely. What happened next was tender, careful. Isaiah treated her like she was precious. Every touch asked permission. Every kiss said, I love you. Every whispered word reminded her she was wanted. For the first time in her life, Kendra felt truly cherished. Kendra woke up wrapped in Isaiah's arms with sunlight streaming through his bedroom windows. For one perfect moment, everything felt right. Then reality crashed in. She was in Isaiah's bed. They'd slept together, and she was still legally married. Oh, God, she whispered. Isaiah stirred. Hey, morning. Kendra sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. Isaiah, Hey. Isaiah sat up too, his voice gentle. Talk to me. What's going on in that head? I just committed adultery, Kendra said, panic rising in her chest. I'm still married. I broke my vows. Ken, my parents are going to disown me. The church is going to judge me. God is probably so disappointed. Kendra, stop, Isaiah said firmly but gently. He took her hands. Look at me. She did. You are not a bad person. You did not commit some unforgivable sin. Your husband cheated on you first, left you for another woman, and is having a baby with her. You sought comfort from someone who loves you. That's not the same thing. But I'm still married. On paper, Isaiah said. Your marriage ended the moment he brought another woman into your bed. What happened between us? Ken, that was real. That was honest. Don't let guilt over some technicality steal that from you. Kendra wanted to believe him, but she just couldn't wrap her head around his logic. I need time, she said quietly, to process this, to figure out what I'm doing. Isaiah's face fell slightly, but he nodded. Okay. How much time? I don't know. A few days? A week? I need to get my head straight. You can still stay here. No, Kendra said quickly. I think I need my own space, to think clearly. Isaiah looked like she'd just punched him, but he nodded. Okay, if that's what you need. I'm sorry. Don't apologize, Isaiah said, but his voice was tight. I understand. Kendra got dressed quickly, avoiding his eyes. As she headed for the door, Isaiah called out. Ken? She turned. I meant what I said. I love you. That's not changing, no matter how much space you need. Kendra felt tears prick her eyes. I know. And then she left. Kendra found a small one-bedroom apartment in Wicker Park and threw herself into the divorce proceedings. She didn't call Isaiah, didn't text him. She was too confused, too guilty, too overwhelmed. Javon's lawyer was being difficult, claiming Kendra should forfeit assets because her failure to provide children had caused emotional distress. Her own lawyer was furious. This is complete garbage. We're fighting this. Meanwhile, Javon and Raven were all over social media. Fancy dinners, romantic getaways, Raven's growing baby bump. Each photo was a reminder of everything Kendra had lost. Except she was starting to realize she hadn't lost anything. She'd escaped something. Still, she didn't call Isaiah. Week 4 started like any other. Kendra woke up Monday morning and immediately ran to the bathroom to throw up. Stress, she muttered, splashing water on her face. But it happened Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday morning, as she was throwing up again, a terrifying thought occurred to her. No, it can't be. She went to the drugstore on her lunch break and bought 4 different pregnancy tests, took them all in her office bathroom with shaking hands. All 4 came back positive. Kendra sank to the bathroom floor, staring at the tests lined up on the counter. After 6 years of being told she was the problem, 6 years of being called defective, 6 years of believing her body was broken, she was pregnant. But not with Javon's baby. With Isaiah's. Kendra started laughing, then crying, then laughing again. She wasn't broken. She'd never been broken. Javon had been the problem all along. But then, how had Raven gotten pregnant for him? What if the baby Raven was carrying wasn't even Javon's? The irony was almost too perfect. She sat on that bathroom floor for 20 minutes, emotions cycling through guilt, fear, relief, and something that felt dangerously like joy. Finally, she pulled out her phone, stared at Isaiah's number. Her finger hovered over the call button. Should she call him? Tell him about the baby? Let him back into her life? Or should she take more time to figure out what she wanted first? What should Kendra do? Should she call Isaiah right now and tell him about the baby? Or should she wait and figure things out on her own first? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you're not subscribed yet, you're missing the most dramatic story of the year. Part 2 is going to be insane. You won't believe what happens when Javon finds out about the pregnancy. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss it.